Welcome into Jungle Tales, a Pirate Baseball podcast, episode 95. You're watching This Week in Pirate Baseball. It was a 2-2, very much of a roller coaster week for ECU. The Pirates were blown out on Tuesday by the Wolfpack 10-3, and then ECU responded with consecutive 7-1 wins over the Wichita State Shockers before getting blown out once again in the series finale 13-1. Inconsistencies, with personnel, execution, mindset, all those things that have plagued the Pirates throughout the 2026 season reared their ugly head once again. But we'll talk about it from a variety of angles over the next 45 to 50 minutes. But without any further ado, let me welcome in former East Carolina pitcher John White. Wool, how are you?
I'm doing well, Bubba. A little bit under the weather, so trying to get through that. And I see Johnny's online, and glad to have Johnny on. But yeah, you talked about inconsistency. That seems to be something we have been seeing every week. Other than the 4-0 week, we come in here and say, "Well, it could have been better. It could have been better," and that seems to be the common theme going forward here. And hopefully that can change. But they're at a point right now where there's not much more room for error going into conference tournament at this point.
Yeah, it was all too common of a theme, or has been all too common of a theme, I should say, throughout the season. But this week was a little bit different because, as you kind of referenced there have been a lot of what ifs and a lot of close losses where games have swung in the mid to late innings. But that was not one of those. And yeah, you had a game yesterday. It actually was close in the middle innings, but the Pirates were run off the field there in the late innings. But
yeah,
yeah,
we'll talk about that. I'm gonna mention a couple things about that, and it's my opinion, and everybody has one, but yeah, the common theme that I saw this week was getting down to NC State and then getting down on Sunday and not really having much drive. It felt like the inevitable was going to happen, and that the inevitable being a loss at that point. Just didn't see any fire, and I know coaches brought that up, but it did seem like once they got down, it was not much going on, and kind of got a sense of dread. I don't know if you saw that, Johnny, or not, but that's how I felt.
yeah. And I was going to say, JR, you were there on this weekend. I was there on Saturday. Wool, you were there, unfortunately, for that series finale. Not much of a birthday present that the Pirates gave you, but happy birthday nonetheless. But what did you see throughout the weekend stats? Because you saw more in person than the two of us.
Yeah, well, I wanted to address, first of all, the theory that's been going around about, hey, when they get down, there's no fight in them. Well, it wasn't that long ago during our sweep, which, is tough. It's tough to sweep anybody nowadays. But when we were sweeping Charlotte, we were down 7-2 in the fifth inning on the Saturday game, or game 2. And, they showed plenty of fight then, and they came back. I would like to think, that fire is still in them, but, we can't ignore the fact that the roster's a bit different now than it was then. And we just can't get much thinner here at all. I mean, we have talk about no margin for error. We have no margin for injury. And I hope to see Grady back in the lineup, next weekend, hopefully. I have no idea if that's going to happen or not, but it's definitely critical at this point.
Well, yeah, if you think about it. No, I was going to say real quick. Grady going down has been a damper. He came back for Friday, Saturday, and then the injury Saturday. But it does seem like when he has left the team on injury for the shoulder or fractured his nose, that it does put a big damper on this team offensively, from what I've seen. But anyway, go ahead, Bubba. Sorry.
No, you're good. I agree. Coach Godwin actually referenced that in his weekly interview with Stephen Igo, as far as down at Tulane, when that happened, it just felt like we didn't respond to it very well. And then you obviously had that this weekend, unfortunately, where that happened as well on Friday.
Yeah, the difference is this was in Greenville. New Orleans, you kind of expect that kind of thing to happen, but really you don't expect it to happen here. I did have a question about Grady's injury because, yeah, I was at the game, Bubba, but sometimes it's better to be in being at home watching it because to me, what I recall is he thought he got hit on the instep of his foot, and then they challenged it, and the challenge was longer than I thought it should be. And then they said no, he wasn't hit. And I think they switched pitchers during that whole review process. Did he not? Because I feel like when he got hit, that was a different pitcher from what I could. It's hard to see from out there, and I wasn't paying attention to see if, but that was a different pitcher that came in, and I think that was his second pitch when he struck him, in the face like that, and that was just
it was a different pitcher, and
yeah.
it was very close. That I could see where they could not overturn that getting hit on the instep. The guy threw it, and he's not moving out of the box. Players don't do that anymore when the pitch is inside. So yeah, unfortunate, and yeah, the new guy came in and got him. Yeah, that's not you don't like to see that, but yeah, fractured nose, blood, going
Yeah.
out and stuff like that, and
Well,
might
it's
need
just
surgery. Coach mentioned
yeah,
he might need surgery.
yeah. When that occurred, you just knew it wasn't going to be reversed because it's just almost impossible you have to go with the call on the field unless you actually see the ball, take an unusual spin or you can see it actually striking them. So it's just, it's it doesn't do any good to think about it, but had it gone the other way and he was awarded first base, we're not talking about any of this, and who knows, what the future
And
would have been.
I started thinking about Grady and his style of play, and actually the way he swings. And I was thinking about Mike Trout over the past weekend against the Yankees, and I watched the way that Mike was swinging, and I was thinking that reminds me of how Grady swings the bat. And that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. Mike Trout, one of the greatest ever to play the game, but also the Mike Trout way of playing the game with a lot of, going all out and getting injured and stuff like that. You can see that with Grady. I mean, he goes all out and he's running the bases like crazy. He's playing the outfield. You can see that kind of same mentality as Mike Trout had. It just so the injuries might be a part of his game, the way he plays it, and he plays it very hard. But yeah, go watch Mike Trout for anybody who wants to go look and see that swing and go back and look at Grady's swings. It's very similar
Well,
style of
every time
swing.
I tune in the Angels, he's not playing because he's injured.
Yeah,
No, I'm
yeah, he's
kidding.
been
I'm kidding.
injury
Well, but no, he
prone.
is injured often. And that attempt at getting to home plate safely at Tulane. I mean, that shows it all right there. That's what he's about. I mean, that was man.
That kind of
Was
stuff that
a
you don't see
sellout.
a lot of players doing that, and that unfortunately he got injured, and standing in a box, and these guys don't move much anymore. They see a pitch, and if it's going to hit them, they might turn an elbow or turn a shoulder in, but when you get one to the dome, you know, that stinks. And well, we hope to get him back next weekend. I know he was in the dugout according to coach, and he would play if the doctors would let him, but they just can't medically clear him to play.
No.
That's what coach was saying with that fracture, as far as just even getting clearance to jog, because so many things can go wrong. And Johnny Gardner chimes in saying that Coach Godwin said at Tulane, as far as Grady, who Johnny obviously, and his nickname Greedy, he says his injury took the wind out of our sails, and
Yeah,
no
Well,
doubt.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, and that tells you something also about him, right? He's a freshman, but he's also a leader on the offensive side, and not only offensive side, plays great defense. So it just shows you that he's that kind of player. People actually look up to him and say, "Wow, he got hurt, he's down," and it did look like it took the wind out of the sail. I agree totally with what Johnny Gardner's saying there, and I know Coach said it too, but he's right.
Yeah, we appreciate Johnny chiming in. Let us hear from you tonight on YouTube, Facebook, X, however you're watching. As far as positives in those first two games of the weekend, if you'd have told us that we're going to hold Wichita State, yes, their numbers offensively were inflated because of some soft non-conference play, but they can swing the bats pretty well. And to hold them to 2 runs through 2 games was tremendous. In game 1, you had the bullpen really step up. Unfortunately, Luke Payne did not deliver the start that he had against Charlotte and Tulane. Therefore, Gavin Marley and company had to come in and really pitch well. I guess it was Gavin, Ethan Rose, and then Joseph Webb. And Joseph Webb had a heck of a weekend. Had 2 performances back-to-back days on Friday and Saturday, threw a combined, 70 to 75 pitches. I think actually 77 to be exact. I think 37 and 40. So that was very impressive. And Coach talked about what a workhorse Joseph Webb has been. And as a result, even with Ethan Norby's stellar performance on Saturday, which we'll talk about momentarily, Joseph Webb was our PGXGloves.com pitcher of the week. In those 2 appearances, he worked 6 1/3, shutout baseball, allowed just 3 hits and an unbelievable 11 Ks and just 1 walk for Joseph Webb. So congratulations to him.
Hey, Bob, can I throw out the I'm sorry, Wolf. I was just going to throw out another Joe Webb stat that in his last 7 games, he's pitched 16 innings, allowed 13 hits, 3 earned runs. So he's got an ERA of 169. He's 3-0 with a save and only 2 walks and 20 Ks. Now, in his first 23 innings, he allowed 17 walks. So he's got that problem. It looks like under control. 2 walks in the last 16. And you really want to see that, especially, with someone that pitches with the energy that he does. And I just thought that was a key fact to lay out there as far as the direction that Joe Webb is heading in. And hey, Coach said, I think at the beginning of the season, before it even started, he compared him to Danny Beal. And Danny Beal, couldn't get on the field enough. He would pitch every game if you let him. And I feel like that comparison at this point was very accurate.
Yeah, when he came back really quickly, I think I mentioned to you, it was you or I think it was you, Johnny, that he has a rubber arm, it seems like. But I know early in the year, I mentioned this on a previous show, that when that sidearm, I watched him and that sidearm was not working. And when he stayed over the top, it seemed like it was so much more dominant. And he does kind of go sideways a little bit here and there, but I would just remove that from the arsenal because he's been dominant. I mean, you can't, like you just mentioned, you can't say it any other way. He's been lights out since they removed that sidearm stuff. And then also he was calling pitches early, but that didn't last very long. So that's really not in the equation. But yeah, the bullpen for that game, what was it? 7 2/3 scoreless innings and just 4 hits. They were dominant. But the problem here is, if you bring it up, is Luke did not give us a good outing. So now you have pitchers that had to go out there and strain their arms. So then when Sunday come around, you got guys that are out there, as Coach, Godwin said, they're pitching on fumes. And that's why you need your starter. And that's why we need Luke to go out there and get us 4 or 5 innings and help relieve the bullpen.
Well, here's my observation of Luke in that game. We'd seen Luke go back-to-back starts with quality starts. And I just feel like in Friday's start, his issue was he didn't get a strike 3 call. And I mean, I know he's strong enough to get past that mentally, but I really think that that botched bunt where he just couldn't pick it up and it ended up being a run scored as a result of that eventually. I think that really got into his head. I think it really bothered him that he let that happen, and I just think that he may have lost some composure after that play. It seemed that way anyhow.
Yeah, you never know with a pitcher. I mean, sometimes the littlest of thing can get in their head, but yeah, I do remember the call you're talking about, and that can change the whole thing. I mean, he could have ended up going 4 or 5, but in this case, it didn't happen. But the bullpen did step up. It's just unfortunate because you have to start using your arms on the weekend, and back to back games like that it's not the best
No.
thing. Now, one thing on the offensive side, how far was the home run that Jack hit? Because that was a bomb.
Yeah, and he had just missed
417.
one for 417, so he joins the 400 club.
Yeah, that was a mighty blast, and it was a nice swing, nice short, compact swing, and he got a hold of it, and it just went. Wow.
And then do you remember his first at bat that he hit out to left field and he got the guy all twisted, corkscrewed, and the left fielder just he found a way to make the catch. But
Oh yeah, that when
that
he
one,
acknowledged the left field crowd there in the jungle.
yeah, he just they were giving him a hard time, and he just showed him the ball. He didn't actually say anything, but that was it was a very bad misplaying of the ball and an excellent recovery on his part to make that catch. Unfortunately for Jack.
Yeah. Yeah, and as far as Wichita goes, they didn't play a great game. They had 4 errors in the game, and we took advantage of it, and we won a game 7-1 very easily. And then we came back the next day and did the same thing. And you were expecting a little bit of that going in, but you have to start thinking about, well, how deep is our pitching at that point? So,
Yeah.
not trying to get ahead of here, Bubba, but um,
No, since you guys brought up Jack Herring's home run, I figured we'd go ahead and talk about the week that he had. A couple multi-hit games. He did go over in the series finale, like most Pirates did, but 5 for 13, a home run, a double, 4 runs driven in, 3 runs scored, and then he also walked 4 times, so he reached base in 9 of 17 plate appearances. He's hitting over 350, I think 353 now, to lead the team, and he's fourth in the American Conference. Detlefson from UTSA leads the league with his 400 average, but Jack Herring having a stellar senior season after transferring prior to last season, becoming a Pirate in 2025, or I guess 2024 technically. But these last 2 seasons, after beginning his career down in Florida at Rollins, and finished last year so well, hitting 302, and he's only gotten better. And
yeah,
again, 353 was tied for the team lead with 7 bombs, and I think pushing 40 RBIs, and just a heck of a year thus far for Jack Herring. And he really transformed his body. He's a much better athlete this year than he was a year ago. You can see it when he's running the bases, and his pass in the outfield just looks the part, and has certainly played it thus far. So congratulations to Jack Herring on being named our PGXClubs.com
yeah,
player of the week. And I saw in that game that I was at on Saturday, and I'm sure Wool, you noticed it on the stream, and JR in person, that throw that he had. He was just a touch late, but he showed a nice arm on that throw to the plate. It was about a step late.
yeah. No, and I was good. I was going to mention that I was sitting in the. This is I occasionally go to the Letterman's area, which I hate to watch the game from there because it's not a great angle. But I was there when he went to deep right field there, and caught a ball, and then or fielded it and then threw it to second. He has a lot better arm than people think. I was impressed with his arm strength, and yeah, based on what exactly what you said on that. last year to this year. Great hitter, looks improved physically, and he definitely can. His route running, especially, has gotten a lot better in the outfield. That's one thing that last year he kind of circled around balls or didn't really have a good route to the ball. And this year it seems like they really worked on that. So he looks a lot better out there for sure.
Yeah. Hey, well, I wanted to add something to that because I was going to go there. I think it was his third attempt at a putout as a Pirate. We were playing North Carolina. I think it was Vanderbrake hit one out to right field, and he did take a bad route, like you said, and that was like his third attempt at catching a ball, and we were like, wow, I don't know if we're going to see him in the outfield again. He has never had an error since that play. He's been perfect.
Yeah.
He hasn't, unless you want to take points away for that throw to home plate from shallow right field. Who was that? Penn, I think it was.
UTSA game, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was UTSA. But that's the only critical thing I can say about him out the field. And maybe that
definitely
when he hurt
much
his
improved.
shoulder. Yeah, when he hurt his shoulder, diving forward.
Oh, that was against what was it? UAB.
Yeah. But,
Hey guys,
I'm the games are getting mixed up, but definitely, the route running has improved tremendously. He's a lot better outfielder than he was last year, and it's almost like did Coach Overton get out there and start working with him? Because that was one of Coach Overton's big things was route running in the outfield. So I always laugh about that when I think about the guys improving in the outfield.
guys, we have an excellent point here from Johnny Gardner. Chiming in once again via YouTube, saying that Jack Herring had a heck of a season in the New England Collegiate Baseball League last summer. Of course, a former Pirate, Dixon Williams, played very well for Newport, and then Seawall performed very well in that league, and then Jack Herring did a season ago. So he really used that positive experience to springboard him into the senior season that he's having. And again, 353, 7 home runs, 35 RBI, and 12 doubles after going 302, 5 home runs, 28 driven in, and 6 doubles a season ago. So he's already in 41 games doubled his doubles total from a season ago.
Yeah, and that double that he had on Saturday was his 14th multi-hit game. He went, he had 2 hits in that game, including he's had a 4-hit game, and a 3-hit game. So I mean, you just can't ask much more than that for consistency. He's getting it done.
Yeah, I like what the New England Collegiate League is doing. Actually, when I was playing, it was like if you were the best of the best, you went to the Valley. Or if you were on the East Coast and you were below that, you went to not the Valley, the Cape Cod. If you were below that, best of the best, you went to the Valley. If you're on the West Coast, you went out there to the Alaskan League or the Hawaiian League. Those type of things. It seems like obviously summer ball is completely different, but I like what the New England Collegiate League has done. They really get a lot more talent than they used to. I just wanted to point that out, and thank you, Johnny Garner, for bringing that up.
Yeah.
We talked about the excellent performance of the Pirate bullpen on Friday. We've discussed Saturday's game some, but how about Ethan Norby? I think, 4 out of his last 5 starts now that he's gone 6 innings. And he leads the American with 65 strikeouts. And he was throwing up Ks early and often on Saturday against the Shockers. And Ethan's really starting to pitch the way we knew he was capable and the way we had seen him pitch in the past fairly frequently.
Yeah, and I don't want to task Johnny stats with something, but if you go take the first 2 or 3 innings for most of his games out,
Oh yeah.
He would be an All-American pitcher at this point. There's no doubt. But yeah, he's had trouble getting past those first couple 2-3 innings with some traffic, and if he does, he's lights out when he gets by it. And this weekend, he showed that if he comes out to the mound warm, and it was a little warmer for 92 degrees at game time. Yeah, I mean, he showed exactly why he's a preseason All-American. He's lights out when he's that, and he got a lot of 0-2 counts, 0-2 counts, 1-2 counts, and he makes competitive pitches, and his ball was spinning better. So yeah, he likes it better when it's warmer. I have noticed that, and um, I would like to see his stats if you could remove the 2 and 3 innings from those first, part of the season, February and March.
I'll report back to you, Wool, later tonight.
Yeah,
I
certainly.
guarantee you have the lowest ERA in the league. But anyway, sorry. Did Bubba drop?
No,
No, I'm
I think
here.
he's still there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're good. You're
got
good.
you.
Okay. All right. So, any other thoughts on Ethan's performance? I mean, I was for the majority of that game. I was right there behind the plate, and his command. That's one of the things that jumped out at me. You guys may have his numbers in front of you. What did it finish up? I know he
Yeah,
had a walker.
103
Okay,
pitches, 70 strikes.
was it
Oh,
11? Was it
I was
11
going to say
Ks and 2 walks?
It
he
was
had
nine
nine
and
K,
two. 9 and 2.
Nine
I'm
Ks.
sorry,
Okay.
Wool.
but after 4 innings, he was right at the number, right? 15 people trying to stick to 15 innings or not 15 pitches per inning. So he was at 60 in the fourth inning. But then he had a little bit of traffic in the seventh that kind of or the fifth that kind of extended things. And he had trouble trying to get that 10th K. Everybody wanted it, and there were some close calls. But what I noticed is he did control the zone, and he got a strikeout every inning. But 0-2 and 1-2 counts, he got ahead immediately. He was in total control. When you're getting ahead and you're doing 0-1, 0-2, and 1-2 as a pitcher, guys are not going to hit very well against you. And he showed that. He showed up that game. And then, of course, after he was taken out, Joe Webb, the rubber arm, came back in and pitched 3 innings with 5 Ks. And what a game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just going off memory here, and that is that even when Ethan walked a batter or two there in the middle innings, that from what I recall, they were competitive pitches, and that was different than those 3 and 4 walk games that he had had previously.
Yeah, his off speed, or when he was 0-2, 1-2 in those games, he would end up going 2-2, 3-2 because his secondary pitches weren't hitting the spots. But in this game, everything was competitive. It was right near the zone, so the hitters knew they had to be ready, and the pitches were a lot. The caliber of pitches were a lot better for sure, 100%. His best game of the year as far as controlling the zone.
Uh, An arm that the Pirates did not have to use on the weekend, and that is Sean Jenkins. Coach said that he was dealing with some soreness, and he did see some action Tuesday against the Wolfpack, and Coach had commented post game saying that if Sean had not pitched, we'd have probably gotten run ruled in that game with the way it went. But fortunately, even though he did not pitch yesterday, Coach said he felt better. If we were going to see him, then and since he felt better, I was a little surprised that there when it was a 1-2 run ball game in the middle innings that we didn't see him then trying to hold the Shockers where they were to give the sputtering offense a chance to do something. But yeah, once you're down 5, 6, 7 runs there, no surprise that we did not see him.
Yeah, after you get down, and especially a pitcher of his, magnitude, basically, he's a future major league type pitcher. I mean, he's going to be picked very high, but you wouldn't want to go out there and mess with his arm. But if it's just general soreness or what, it's a little concerning because he hasn't pitched much. But what I thought about the game was, like you mentioned, it was still early. You're only down 1-0. Okay, you're still going to pitch some of your bullpen guys, and he actually went with a guy that's Frank Saccone, who's not lived up to the Friday night starter that he was at St. Joe's. So that kind of I know he was trying to get an innings eater out there, but at that point, like JR and you said, we need to hold the lead and see if the sputtering, and you said sputtering, it was. The offense didn't look like they were going to get off anything, but, get 1 or 2 innings from each of those guys early in the game versus trying to bring them in later when things started getting out of hand. And obviously at that point, Alex came in, they got some, and give Wichita's offense some credit. They were hitting some missiles up the middle and finding the alleyways there. But yeah, I thought we gave up as far as trying to take the bull by the horns early enough. And I personally, nothing against Frank or anything, but I would have brought him in later in the game if it was out of hand versus a 1-0 game, in my opinion.
Yeah. The weird thing is, Wichita only had one extra base hit the entire weekend, and that was that double that they had on Sunday. But yeah, we threw 218 pitches. We threw 116 balls. No, I'm sorry, 102. We threw 102 balls out of 218 pitches. That's the most pitches we've done all season by far. We're not quite William and Mary territory when they threw, 242 or whatever it was and 7. But yeah, you don't want to see that really as far as arm usage goes.
Yeah, and I think that there was a couple plays that we made in this game that coach was a little bit irritated about, trying to get the double play.
Yeah.
The bad throw by Walker. Yeah, so there was some irritating plays there, but there was a lot more to it. I just think we didn't try to tackle from a pitching perspective early enough. Look, you're not going to get a whole bunch of innings out of none of the pitchers that Sunday. Now looking back on it, that Sean was a little bit hurt, and maybe he wouldn't have pitched at all, but who knows? But you're getting 1 or 2 innings out of these guys. It's going to be a piecemeal game the entire game, but you definitely want to go with your guys like Gavin Marley and Ethan Rose a lot earlier than you did if they're going to pitch, and they did pitch. I would have definitely stuck them in a little bit earlier and try to keep the game closer, see if the offense could break through. If not, then you go to a guy like Frank Saccone later to eat the innings up. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
well, you mentioned. I'm sorry, Bubba. I'll make this brief. Well, you mentioned he wasn't happy with one of the plays. That double play. I'm just wondering if he pulled Nick after that and put in Lashley. We were trying to figure out is Lashley's hamstring still bothering him or what? But the fact that he put him in to play in a blowout game. What do you think we're going to see Tuesday night? You think we're going to see Matt? Or do you think we're going to see Nick?
Yeah, I was listening to Coach talk with Hoist the Colors, and he did mention that he didn't feel like Matt was looking healthy, moving around, and said you may see he mentioned the obvious here, right? You got a shortstop that's a little bit more ranging at this point with Nick. But then you have one that's a better offensive player. So he's trying to gauge what he's going to do in that situation. So, in my opinion, he's going to go with Nick at shortstop because he's got better range at this point. And then Matt used offensively or pinch hitter in some type of role. That's just a guess, but that's what I see.
Yes, definitely the way it sounded with what Cliff said to Steve and I go on Hoist the Colors earlier on Monday. We talked about Sean Jenkins and wanted to mention a couple numbers and where Sean ranks within the American. He's third in the league with his ERA of 2.72, and then he also ranks fourth with 52 Ks. So very solid season for Sean Jenkins, and I really think over these last 15 games of the regular season and moving into postseason play down in Clearwater, that we're going to have to get even more mileage out of him. So here's hoping that he's healthy, not only just to be healthy, but for the Pirates' sake, for the stretch run.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, think about it. Him and Ethan, right? There's an argument on who who's the better dominant pitcher. And, they both are in their own way. But as far as Sean goes, you're looking at a future first or second round pitcher with his stuff. So you don't want to screw that up, but you also would love to have him for 6 innings a week at least, right? 6, 7 innings. And that just hasn't happened. And obviously, we now know that he's been feeling some soreness. So, got to be a little careful. Hopefully, get some rest. And it's nothing, but you never know with an arm. You got to be very careful.
Very quickly, guys, I wanted to mention some kind of big picture things concerning the Pirates offense. It's certainly been plagued by inconsistency this year. However, it has undoubtedly improved from a season ago. The Pirates, through 41 games, are averaging 7.1 runs per game. Last year in 62, they averaged 6.3. And really, most measures of this ECU offense are better than they were in 2025. Last year, ECU hit 277. This year, ECU is now 294. The on base percentage this year is right at 400, 378 a season ago. One of the glaring differences is how much the Pirates strike out. This year, ECU has struck out just 211 times through 41 games. Last year, in 62 games, there were 475 Ks. And compared to 345 free passes this year, like I mentioned, 211 Ks, 233 free passes. So a very, very good ratio this year. Last year, not so much. And the Pirates last year finished with 91 doubles in 62 games. This year, the Pirates already have 79. Of course, everybody wants to talk about the home runs. Last year, 73. This year, 38. And for good reason. That undoubtedly is a deficiency of this team. With the loss of Dixon Williams and then the injury to Braxton Trammell, and then of course it's been well documented the struggles with Austin Irby over these last 3 to 4 weeks. We're discussing it off air before going live tonight, guys. He has just won for his last 22 and 5 for his last 51, and we know what he's capable of. We don't want to pile on, but unfortunately felt like we had to bring it up.
Yeah, he's even changed his walk-up song. I mean, he's trying everything he can think of. It didn't seem to work, but hopefully he'll find the right remedy.
Yeah, and you got to think about. You would think that he'd have about 10 home runs at this point, and also Colby Wallace as well. As far as the home run department, he only has 1, right? So,
I agree.
Yeah,
Hey,
been deficient, but you have to admit as far as the strikeouts go, and then hitting late in the count. I will say this: they do a good job of hitting with 2 strikes, but you're not going to be getting free swings off with 2 strikes in the count. It's not the same as a 2-0 and 3-0, 3-1 count. But they do tend to get, take a strike, take a lot of pitches, fake a bunt, and then get 1 or 2 strikes on them. And at that point, you're not going to get strong swings on the ball. And, that's going to attribute to less home runs. And that's just the way it is. And that seems to be a style they've done to cut down on the strikeouts, watch a lot of pitches, be okay with being 0-1, 1-1, 1-2. And that seems to be something I've seen noticeably over this year.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing real quick, Bob, about the one facet of the offense that is struggling, and I think it's making a big difference, is stolen bases. Last season we were 71 of 84, including 25 of our last 26 and 15 of our last 15. I mean, that was a big reason we won the conference tournament and beat Florida twice. The year before that, we had 73. The year before that, we had 87. This season, we are 32 of 45. But since conference play has begun, in the 15 conference games, we're only 7 of 15. That's 46.6%, success rate. And surprisingly, Jeff Sabater is only 1 for 5. And we just don't have, I just don't think, with all of the injuries, AP was a great base stealer. We just don't have the base stealing guys that we had last season or the season before with Riley Johnson. So, and Dixon Williams was very good as well. I just thought I'd throw that out there because it is something that's hurting this offense for sure.
Yeah, you read my mind. That's where I was going next, because I had it written down. Dixon Williams last year had 22 steals. Braden Burris 18. Braden, I think, is at 9 right now, with at least hopefully 17 plus games remaining. So we'll see. He may match or surpass last year's total, but he's going to have to really turn it up to do so. And that was glaring to me because we're dead last in the American.
Yeah. Yeah. And Grady, hopefully going forward, I don't know what, when he comes back, if the injury recovery is going to dictate that he doesn't, he's our best base stealer right now. So I don't know. So without him, we really just have Braden, and as of late, Davin is 4 for 4 on the season. But other than that, nobody else has more than a couple.
I wanted to mention one other thing. And if you guys remember when we were down in Tulane, how they played us defensively, and it seemed like they were always in the right spot. It seems like we are not, all the shifts that we do not work. And I'm not saying all of them, but I feel like we probably have one of the worst percentages when it comes to shifting players around and not, being in the right spot. I have noticed that in the last few weeks, and some of these old schoolers are going to say, well, you shouldn't shift and you should let the player see where the pitch is going and kind of cheat that way, which is the way they used to do it in the old school. You would know where the pitcher was throwing and you'd kind of cheat one way or the other. But even, in this weekend series, you saw Sabater able to beat it. People have played him on the right side. He hits it to the left side. I just, other than the Tulane game, this shift thing doesn't seem like it's working very well for many of the teams I've watched in our series.
Yeah,
I know that's out of left field, but a lot of people probably don't watch that kind of stuff. But me being middle infielder in high school and just realizing how we used to play it by cheating based on how the pitcher was throwing to a batter, instead of just going out there and doing a major shift on a player, even though you don't know what the pitcher's going to throw. It's just mind-boggling to me, but I guess that's a new way of playing the game.
Yeah, the main thing you hear is at the game, when it doesn't work, you'll hear people around you, I hate that dang shift, but then when it does work, there's crickets.
That's what I was saying about that Tulane game. It seemed like it worked for them every time we did something. I mean, one time, what was it? The guy was standing on second base when the ball was drilled to him.
Yeah, so kind of transitioning now to the American Conference. You have UTSA and UAB. They went 2 for 3 over the weekend. UTSA taking 2 out of 3 from Charlotte. UAB taking 2 out of 3 down in Tampa from South Florida, which was impressive for the Blazers. They're certainly doing their best to prove people wrong. All the naysayers that said that it would not hold, and 4 weekends remaining in league play, and there they are, tied atop the league with last year's champion, the Roadrunners. The Pirates are, however, just a game back. It was nice to see Charlotte and the Bulls get a win to help ECU stay that single game back. Like I said, with 4 weekends to play. Wichita State 8-7, South Florida 7-8, Rice 7-8, also Tulane and Memphis 7-8. How about the Tigers sweeping Rice, taking all 3 in Memphis, and then FAU took 2 out of 3 from Tulane. Go figure. And the Owls are now 6-9, and Charlotte is in the cellar at 4-11.
Yeah, I did want to mention something about Memphis sweeping Rice. So there's been 25 conference series so far. And there's only been 4 sweeps. And who at the beginning of the season would guess that UAB would have 2 of them over FAU and Tulane? Memphis would have 1 of them. We have the other one over Charlotte. And UTSA would have 0. It's hard. We call for a sweep every weekend. We have to have a sweep. And I do believe that when I say it, but saying it doesn't make it any easier. It's hard to sweep anybody at any time, home or away. And so I just thought that was odd. 4 sweeps, none of them from UTSA, 1 from Memphis, 2 from UAB.
Yeah, and with the depth of pitching that we have right now, it's very difficult. And think about if you don't get that first or second, what's the bye situation now in the conference tournament? Let's just say, we're going to be on the
Yeah.
bubble. I don't think there's
Single bye
any
for the top
ifs,
4, double bye
yeah.
for the top 2. We definitely got to finish top 2.
So, yeah, and people are, well, it's better if you play more games. No, not in this situation with our pitching staff at this point. And yeah, you don't. So the less amount of games you can play down in that tournament, and like I said, we're going to be on the bubble. It's going to be close. We're going to be down. What are we, 40 now in RPI?
Yeah, we're 40. Here's an interesting stat, though. We say we have to win the tournament. Sometimes, winning the regular season just isn't enough. But in the American, the regular season winner has gone to the NCAA tournament every single season. But
it was always us or UTSA the last year, right?
Yeah, well, also, when we didn't win it, no, I guess you're pretty. UCF went.
When was the last?
No,
okay,
no, they did not.
Previous to UTSA. So previous to
Okay.
UTSA, when was the last time East Carolina didn't win the conference overall?
Houston in 2018.
Yep,
And
2018.
UCF in 17, Tulane in 16, and then Houston again in 15. And the American has had multiple bids every single season. They even had 3 and 4 a few years. Those were the earlier years.
Tulane has helped that out because they've won.
Yeah, from winning the tournament from coming from nowhere. Yeah, but the only year is 2022 is the only season that the American got 1 bid, and that's when ECU won the regular season and they won the tournament. And UCF finished in 2nd place. They were 14 and 10 in conference, 35-15 overall. They didn't get a look. So
it'll be close this year. You got to think about it. UTSA probably would get an at-large bid, so if they win the tournament, it could be a one team only, and East Carolina be on that bubble. But let's just say East Carolina does well rest of the year. UTSA does their thing. Neither one of them win the conference tournament. Then you have 3 teams in. So yeah, could go either way. You could have 1 or 3 going on right now, depending on how East Carolina goes.
Yeah, you look first a couple of notes within the conference, and then the schedules for the schedule for the Pirates over these last 15 games as it pertains to RPI. But yeah, within the American, ECU's remaining schedule: South Florida at home. That's the best RPI opportunity for the Pirates. At Memphis, Rice at home, at FAU, UTSA goes to Tulane, Wichita State at home, at Memphis, UAB at home. So their 2 most challenging series are there at home, and then UAB, they have Memphis at home, at Rice, Charlotte at home, UTSA at home. So 3 out of the last 4 series, if I wrote that down correctly, for the Blazers are there at Young Memorial.
Don't UTSA and UAB play the last series of the season?
Correct.
In San Antonio.
Yep. Yeah. So one thing that can't happen is we cannot lose tomorrow to Old Dominion, and then next Tuesday or Wednesday beat NC State to help the RPI. Those 2 things need to happen for sure.
So yeah, that was my mistake, JR. I appreciate you said that series with UAB and UTSA is at Roadrunner Field.
No problem.
Do you guys hear me?
Oh yeah.
So
I just thought, I didn't even hear you make that.
UAB UTSA is in San Antonio.
Yeah, no, I heard that, but I didn't hear you make the initial mistake, so that's why it didn't
I
even.
didn't either. I didn't think you
Okay.
made a
I think you
mistake, to be
just
honest.
outed yourself for something you didn't do, but
I think
we'll
the
go to
same
the replay
thing.
later.
I know I said it incorrectly because I said Memphis, Charlotte, and UTSA that they had 3 series at Young Memorial. So
Oh, okay,
I thought I'd
okay,
written the UTSA one down correctly.
gotcha.
Excuse me, incorrectly. But yeah, moving on from that to a couple of notes concerning the Pirates' remaining 15 regular season games at ODU, 138 RPI. South Florida, 59. At NC State, 50. At Memphis, 119. Rice and Campbell, 91 and 92. And at FAU, 174, which is far and away the worst remaining RPI of any ECU opponent. Rice and Campbell took blows over the weekend, getting swept by Memphis, and then Campbell losing 2 out of 3 to Elon, whose RPI is not good at all. They both
Drop
dropped.
like,
They dropped
It
from
took a
55 or
dive.
60 to 90.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a big drop, both of them. Wow.
So,
And yeah, that's another thing I keep forgetting about Campbell. Man, are we going to beat them? Or the streak going to continue? We need to go ahead and take care of this, get the monkey off our back with Campbell.
or will the game be played?
Yeah, that's another
Will
thing. Do we really want to play it right at this point? But
we
yeah.
have an 85 and sunny rain out?
Well,
But no,
well, we did have that rain out with NC State when it actually was sunny during the.
you don't have to tell Bubba about that. I think he was.
Yeah,
You were
he was
driving
there.
to the field, right, Bubba?
I was at Doak Field. I was the idiot that made the trip.
Oh man, I felt terrible for you that day, Bubba.
But last thing that I had, guys, nationally, some of the things that stood out to me. Southern Miss had its struggles in recent weeks, but they really had an excellent weekend that they needed, sweeping Texas State. So that was awesome for them as they look to get back into the hosting conversation. North Carolina taking 2 out of 3 from number 2 Georgia Tech. What a series that was between the 3rd-ranked Tar Heels and 2nd-ranked Yellow Jackets. And then you had number 17 Mississippi State, after dropping 6 straight SEC games, all at Duty Noble. They went to struggling South Carolina and got a much-needed sweep. UCLA remained perfect in the Big Ten. They are now 21-0, 36-3 overall after a sweep of Minnesota. Wake Forest absolutely destroyed State in games 1 and 2, 20-1 and 18-7 before falling 6-5 to the Wolfpack. They salvaged the series in the finale. The Xavier must be in the Big East.
Yeah, Bubba, you were kind of cutting out there. What was that last statement?
Something about Xavier in the Big East.
Oh, they're doing better. So them and UConn are in the top of at the top of the conference in the Big East right now.
St. John's and Creighton.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Bubba, you were cutting out there a little bit. Yeah, and right now UNC is now ranked number 2 and Georgia Tech is number 3. I'm sure that it wasn't a sweep, but Carolina did take 2 out of 3. Right now, the ACC is either Georgia Tech or UNC. But you have Boston College right there too. You never know. I mean, they played a great year as well. So as far as the ACC goes, I think there's one team that has an offset amount of games, and that's Florida State. They've played 3 less games than everybody else. How does that keep happening every year?
I know that is true.
I know last year why it happened.
Unfortunately,
unfortunate
that
situation.
tragedy last year.
Yeah, but this year they still played 3 games less.
I'm drawing a blank right now, Wool, but I keep looking at Florida State and expecting them to go on a losing streak after losing one of the best hitters in the nation. Help me out.
Oh yeah, their first baseman,
Yeah,
big lefty. Yeah, and not only, I mean, he was going to be I don't, was he a sophomore this year? So he had one more year. I mean, yeah, that was a big blow. He's an awesome
that was
player.
against Duke, and I mean, I just remember the Duke pitcher looking over and seeing what how
Yeah,
bad
that
that
was
injury
horrible.
was, and he got sick to his stomach.
Oh yeah, yeah, and
So
UCLA, right? I mean, they've taken the Big Ten and easily dispatched most teams. But I don't know if you guys watched. They were over the Minnesota this weekend, and Minnesota, they were 6.5 run favorites in the first game, 5.5 runs in the second, 5.5 in the or 4.5 in the third, and I think Minnesota covered every spread this weekend in Vegas. So, but no, in the Big Ten, USC started off great. Their pitching staff was awesome, but now they've been shocked back to reality with better, talented teams, and now they're looking. They're going to make the tournament, but they're not looking like they were earlier in the year. So I'm trying to figure out like we've talked about, is UCLA going to win a conference game or lose a conference game?
yeah,
I don't see it. I don't see it
I
based on their schedule.
yeah, you never know though. It's baseball. Did any of y'all watch? Well, not to watch, but did you see that Georgia at Arkansas score 26-14?
I
Georgia.
saw the score. I
Yeah,
was
the
wondering
Bulldogs
what
hit
was happening.
nine home
Was that the
runs.
spring football game?
That's that's what I was thinking. The Bulldogs had 9 home runs, and Dan Jackson had 3 of them. It was crazy. The SEC is fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I
like
think
that
that
they're playing Thursday games, or on Monday games too. Sometimes you'll get them on Mondays, sometimes you get them on Thursdays. Um, they start early. They have like 2 series that start early so that they can get some exposure. But there's always something good to watch this time of year when it comes to college baseball.
Yeah, and I was thinking about next week in the ACC around here. Coastal is going. I'm not sure if they're at UNC or Coastal's going
They're
to.
at Wilmington, and
Okay,
I think they're number 7. They're like top 10 for sure, 7, 8, or 9.
so I'm wondering. So if you think about this, Carolina does not play next weekend, so they have that weekend off. Will they go with their main guys like DeCaro, Lynch, and the other pitcher there in the midweek against Coastal to try to win that game? Um, yeah, just trying to look at the schedule and seeing what UNC is thinking at that point. Now they're number 2 in the country. What is Coastal? Number 8 or 9?
Yeah, they're 8
What?
or 9. I think they're 28 and
Gosh.
11. 28 and
And
11.
we talk about injuries and our pitching staff. I know they haven't had as many as far as the hitting group or defensive, but pitching wise, they've been about the same as us. Lost a lot of their top guys. So what they've done has been pretty impressive. I have to, tip my hat to them. I know that we don't like Coastal, and they're like,
No, I give them credit though. I mean, I like
they're
good baseball.
recruiting, but
Yeah,
we're fighting them for recruits, et cetera, that
right.
type of
That's why I
stuff. I
don't
get
root.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. But and then I wanted to give a shout out to the D1 baseball guys. Like, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, they were talking about the up and coming West Virginia Mountaineers and said that they reminded them of the East Carolina Pirates. Same type, same type of play, and they're fun to watch. Anyhow, West Virginia's they're up to like 11 or 12 now, so they're making a late season push here, boy.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then not only that, in Virginia, and here's where the D1 group got it wrong with Virginia in their preseason picks.
Yeah,
Virginia is what, 11, 10?
I think they're 10th.
I had a feeling that they wouldn't lose much, even though new coach and lost a lot of players down in Mississippi State. We knew what they were going to have in the new coach coming up that way. So, and he brought some people with him, and probably one of the best players in the country. So, really, really good stuff what Virginia's done.
I agree.
A couple couple other things that stood out to me nationally for different reasons. You, of course, have an East Carolina tie at App State with former Pirate long snapper Britt Johnson. He's the recruiting coordinator and third base coach for the Apps. But the Mountaineers went to Harrisonburg and swept James Madison in very impressive fashion, winning 10-0, 19-10, and 14-10, so 43 runs in the series. App is now 22-16, 10-8 in the very good Sun Belt Conference. So happy for Britt and Kermit Smith, their head coach. Excellent coach, better man, and they have now won 8 of their last 10. And then how about Texas A&M? Last year they were a disappointment, but this year they are certainly living up to expectations and more the team that everybody thought they would be a year ago. They are playing tremendous baseball and swept LSU at Alex Box over the weekend as the Tigers' struggles continue.
Yeah, I love their shortstop. I'm talking about A&M. That guy is fun to watch.
Yeah, and going back to the Sun Belt, yeah, heck of a conference, and then we're looking at the American, and it's just if you start thinking about at large, I'm going back to thinking of being on the bubble. It could all come down to the big three conferences there with Coastal and Southern Miss down there. If they don't win their conference, and then UTSA or East Carolina doesn't win their conference, how many bids are not? Yeah, thinking about that stuff makes my head hurt at this point. But I'm gonna start putting my
yeah. Well, Coastal doesn't really matter. I mean, because
they're in. I get it, but
Southern
if they
Miss
don't win the tournament,
if one of those two don't win, then we got issues, and that could very well happen.
Oh yeah, yeah. We can start seeing some teams in there start getting the Tulane effect, is what I call it.
With good reason.
But anyway, going back to West Virginia, heck of a year, and also Virginia. But I remember there was a time when the best baseball schools in Virginia were James Madison and Richmond, and Virginia Tech were not even up there, doing anything at that time. And that's going way back, but it's just funny to see how things have transitioned over the years in that area.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the things, if you'd have said this, obviously West Virginia's been good for a few years now. Randy Macy got it rolling up there. But if you would have said, back when they got into the Big 12, that, and then also UCF, and then Kansas been very mediocre at best, and not even.
Yeah.
West Virginia, UCF, and then Kansas leading the Big 12. You wouldn't have believed it.
That's another one we didn't mention. Kansas.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, the Randy Macy effect. I know, he's not, held in high regards in certain circles in Greenville, but watching him in his last year go to, what was it, the Chapel Hill Regional, and they that was a great series. But yeah, definitely an effect. And it's funny because you mentioned that West Virginia plays like East Carolina. That look, and you wonder, does Randy Macy have anything to do with it, the way the style of baseball? So just interesting concepts.
Good point, Wool.
So, guys, the final thing that I had was an East Carolina softball report, and the Pirates are now 27-22, 11-10 in the American, coming off arguably their best series win of the season, taking 2 out of 3 from South Florida. The Bulls, I believe, were in first place and may still be in first place. I'll throw up the standings in a moment, but the Pirates, despite scoring just 4 runs in the series, took 2 out of 3, winning 1-0 and 2-1 in walk-off fashion on home runs.
Yeah.
In games 1 and 2, and then fell 3-1 in 8 innings in game 3.
Yeah, that first game, I saw some people posting about it. The walk-off thing, and as I was walking up to the field on Sunday, I saw South Florida's bus and was thinking about how a sweep as well. Will another sweep happen? Will we have 2 sweeps back to? side by side here. It didn't happen, but anyway, they played well. And yeah, you're right. South Florida is in first place.
So there you see the league standings. South Florida and Wichita State are tied at 15-6, and some pretty impressive records overall: 33 and 15, 27 and 15. North Texas, that took 2 out of 3 from the Pirates, 14 and 7, and then ECU in fourth place at 11 and 10. Man, that series where the Pirates were swept at home by UAB, who was at least 0 and 6, maybe even 0 and 9 at the time. That is clearly the difference between us being a contender and not being a contender.
Yeah, that was a tough series there. But yeah, they've actually played really well. So I mean, but
their home series.
You can't go down against UAB in that situation.
No, I mean the previous home series before UAB. I mean, they won 2 out of 3 against Wichita State.
Yeah.
So, including I think they run rule in five innings, right? In softball.
So shout out to Gabby Fowler. She had the walk-off home run in the series opener, and she also had an RBI double in the 2-1 victory. And then Aaron Parker had the walk-off home run in Saturday's 2-1 win. And then Julia Apostolakos pitched tremendously well all weekend. She picked up her 14th win in the 1-0 shutout. And then she unfortunately did not get any run support in that 3-1 8-inning loss, but she went all 8 innings, allowed 3 runs, only 2 earned on 5 hits. So she was excellent throughout the series. And then also you had pitchers step up, of course, in that middle game. The Pirates also won Bastions. Congratulations to Shane Winker and it's all tremendous weekend. And this week, or over in the midweek, they go to Tulsa, and then the following midweek they're at NC State, and they have 3 games remaining of those final 7 regular season games at Max Joyner Stadium, and that is on the final weekend of the regular season against UTSA. So hopefully they can finish strong and carry some momentum into the conference tournament, and they've proven that they can beat any of these teams as they have already done so. They took at least 2 out of 3, I think, from Wichita State, 2 out of 3 from South Florida, and then won a single game down in Denton against the Mean Green. But guys, any parting shots, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, real quick on the softball team. Yeah, they can beat anybody, like you mentioned. But I was gonna give a quick update on the Pirates and the pro. Yeah, Pirates and the pros. Gavin Williams, as of the other night, last night, he took the major league strikeout lead. 29 and 2/3 innings. He's 40 Ks, 13 hits, 2.12 ERA, 1 WHIP. He has walked off people, but it's getting better. It seems like as he goes along. Also, as far as Trey Savage goes, he's pitching tomorrow night in Buffalo for 1 more rehab, and then he's going to be moved back up to Toronto for that. Jeff Hoffman's struggling up in Toronto as well. He may be taken out of I think he already has been taken out of the closer role. So he's been struggling up there. And then Zach Agnos had a great outing where the coach called him out and said, he's doing whatever we ask him. He pitched 4 innings and did really well. So good to see those guys doing so. Obviously, Sean Armstrong keeps doing what he does. He's just a machine when he pitches. And then you have Alec Burleson, he's out there, still doing it. One of the best hitters we've ever seen in East Carolina, obviously, and he's doing it at the pro level. Right now, he's got 3 home runs, 15 RBIs. He's hitting 280, not striking out a lot, but he's producing for the team. So a lot of good things of the Pirates and the pros. So I wanted to mention that out before we left.
Yeah, thank you. I had made a note to mention several of those things you just rattled off, and forgot to bring it up. But yeah, Gavin's had several excellent starts already, and Connor Norby, like you said, doing some good things. Burley's doing what you would expect. And, what can you tell us? Or first of all, wanted to mention Josh Moreland. Josh Moreland, he was named the player of the game. I think went 3 for 5 with a home run and drove in at least 3 for the Renegades. He was the gate of the game. And have you seen any of the others in the minors on what has been done thus far?
I have not, other than what we've seen and talked about, Carter, Cunningham, and Josh doing their thing. I have not seen much from the other players. I do know that Wisenhunt is still, he was optioned to AAA. He's probably the first call up for the Giants. And you mentioned Connor Norby. They're still trying to figure out where he's going to play: first base, third base. They have guys that are injured, so they're trying to keep his bat in the lineup. And he's doing okay. He hasn't had a super great year, but as far as the guys in the Double A and below, I did hear, as far as an ex player, AMAC got moved up to Double A. For those people that still care to think about what he's doing in the minor leagues. But AMAC did get moved up to Double A. Ex East Carolina, went to the other school in Raleigh there that we don't like. But anyway, so yeah, you're seeing a lot of these players that we used to have and how successful they are. And going back to a topic that people are bringing up, are we getting enough talent hitting wise? Pitching wise, it looks good, but kind of amazing to see all the talent that we had here in the last 10, 15 years at the major league level and Double A and above. So, and hopefully see some of these other players get into the Double A and above as well.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah,
I
hopefully you
dropped for
can
a
hear
moment.
me because I was rambling there for a couple minutes.
Yeah, no problem. I dropped on the drive home, but yeah, we'll continue throughout the summer or late spring and summer months into the fall. We're always going to have your Pro Pirate report, so stay tuned for that. And then also we'll highlight those performances with retweets and original tweets, as well as posts on IG when Pirates are doing something well in professional baseball, be it MLB or the minors. And
Yeah, I'll try and
Summary.
do a better job of getting the lower level minors info and stuff. But right now Gavin Williams is a true number one starter at the major league level. And think about watching him, and we had him and Carson Wisenhunt and Connor Norby and Zach Agnos on the same team. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And that was at Vandy super regional that we had to watch the umpire screw things up. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But it's just amazing to see Gavin go up there and be a true number one at the major league level. And you would think that eventually Trey Savage is going to join him as a true number one.
And on the managerial or coaching side, you have, of course, Clayton McCullough with the Marlins. Such significant improvement a season ago for the Fish. And I know Sam Nairn, he was the pitching coordinator for the Nats. Where is it that he's the pitching coach now?
I think he. Okay, so the Nats moved from a one director of pitching to a East Coast, West Coast, and Dominican Republic Hispanic one, and he moved up to AAA pitching. That's the last I heard. I don't want to say it 100%, but I'm pretty sure that if you look at their AAA roster, he's on there as a pitching coach.
So there you have what East Carolina players, and then also some that are coaching in professional baseball, what they've been up to through the first several weeks of the season. But that will do it. Unless you guys have any final thoughts, as the Pirates move into what should be a 4-game week with Old Dominion up in Norfolk, and then 3 games against USF, and the Bulls are, like I mentioned, 59th in the RPI. So, and with that being said, that will wrap up this edition of This Week in Pirate Baseball. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Be sure to follow us on social media at Jungle Tail Pod on X and Instagram. Be sure to subscribe to
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm still here, Johnny.
Okay. I think
Yeah.
he's finally met his demise with
Yeah.
that he's got some bad zones on the way home. So
Yeah, well, I guess we can say thanks for everybody tuning in, and as usual, go Pirates. But you do a better job of it than me.
yeah. Well, I guess we have to talk because he's, he can't end this yet. We can't end it. He has to end it. But the summer league, I'm interested in. I know we only have limited time to cover. There's so many Pirates in the pros. There's not a lot of extra time, but I do enjoy.